Hello, Dr. Giarrizzo. How are you doing today?
Well, how are you?
I'm very good. I like your bow tie.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Giarrizzo, what is the scope of this project? What exactly does the bond entail?
Okay, so the bond covers a full resurfacing of all the athletic fields, all six fields out here. The main field here gets lined for soccer, lacrosse, and football. The track gets a total resurfacing for 6 lanes. We get a new scoreboard, we get a press box, we get a landing pad for concessions. That's this field. The patch, which is right on the other side of us here, that's right now a practice field. That becomes a regulation field. If the bids come in positively, that will be a second turf field. Also for the same, for all the sports that I just talked to you about. The upper field, which is also a practice field that we use for modified sports, that becomes a third regulation field, totally resurfaced with sod and deals with the irrigation issues. And then the softball, all 3 softball and baseball fields get dugouts, bullpens, draining, sodding, all of that.
Sounds like a lot of great improvements coming here to Westlake for our students to utilize. What does it mean to be budget neutral?
Okay, budget neutral. The other thing I forgot to mention is we get lights out here. So we get night games on the main field. So budget neutral means that it's not going to be an additional cost to the taxpayers. So we have principal and interest payments that we make for the debt that we carry. We have debt that's falling off, and the value of this bond, which is just under $9.8 million, fits right into the hole that folks are currently paying, and then goes down in a couple of years. So it will never cost the taxpayers of Mount Pleasant any more than they're currently paying.
You heard it here first, folks. If this bond is passed, the taxes will not increase at all.
Correct.
Very, very nice.
Not because of this project.
Exactly. So, Dr. Giarrizzo, what is the timeline for this proposed bond to start and finish?
Okay, so we have the vote next week. If the bond passes next week, we go into design and specification. We do all of that work. We once we go out to bid, if we have bids that are favorable, we break ground in like November, so right after the fall season. So the fields will get used for the fall season in the fall of 22. And then it's scheduled to be completed in time for graduation to be held on the main field in June. So there are 2 fields that get taken off at a time. So this A and B, which is the main field and the patch, they go off. When they come back on, we do the upper field and the ball fields in the back. When those come back on, we do the baseball and softball fields at the other end of the field, and then we get it all back. So it's about a year in total.
So, if everything goes according to plan, we could have these improvements as early as June 2023?
Correct.
Very nice. So, while you're renovating these fields, where will PE and athletics be held?
So like I said, we're not taking all the fields offline at the same time. So when we break ground, we'll have full use of the fields in the fall up until November. And then we stop using them November, December. So when the demo is happening out here, we won't even be using them. We'll be inside. Come the springtime, we'll have to use the upper fields, the back fields, while these main fields are in use. And then for athletics, we'll rent space for athletes to practice on, so they won't miss. And there'll probably a few more away games next year, but I think the gain is worth waiting for.
Well, sounds like you really got it all planned out. How will this bond, if it's passed, how will it affect the community here at Westlake?
So it'll be like now. It'll be available to all of our community groups, ASO, Junior Wildcats. The foundation uses it for the turkey trot. We've got Spirit Day here. Student use will increase as a result. So it just the fact that we'll have lights on the field helps us to use it for longer periods during the day, and the fact that they'll be draining faster will put you guys back on them faster because they'll be drier, much faster. We won't be dealing with all this goose, the goose problems that we have out here on grass because geese don't hang out on turf. So all told, if it goes through, they'll turn over much faster. The other thing that's really important to remember is that right now, main field is our only regulation field for varsity sports. So it gets shared among everybody. Once this work is done, we go from 1 regulation field to 3 regulation fields. So we'll have a lot more access to the facilities.
Sounds like some great improvements come to Westlake, and I know myself those geese can be nasty, so I'm very excited about that. All right, Dr. Giarrizzo, any closing thoughts on this bond?
No, we just hope everybody makes a plan to get out to vote Tuesday, March 29th, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. We'll be here, having a fun day. We're going to have some field stuff happening with athletes out here. Student vote. Kids are going to be voting on a paw print that will potentially be used on the field. So just make a plan, get out there and vote.
Sounds great. I am certainly for this bond. It sounds like just great improvements to Westlake. Doctor, thank you for coming out.
And thank you.
I appreciate the interview very much.
You're welcome. Go Wildcats.
Back to you guys at the anchor desk.